All right, welcome everybody. And I've got Liz Saunier here, and she's one of my favorite six members for a number of reasons. One, she claps at a lot of things I say, which I always like. Two, she's so smiley and so positive and so happy. And how can you not like someone like that? And three, she's a magnificent action taker, and she just implements like a little champion. Um, so if you're I don't know. I think one of the big things we're going to talk about the LCC here and how successful she's been in that, and I'm sure you're going to learn some really good insights and tips on that with Liz because she is a master at it. We may learn some other things, I don't know. But before we get into that, Liz, why don't you give us a bit of an overview on who you are, what you do, who you do it for, where you're based, and the type of projects you work on.
Absolutely, yes. So, yes, I'm Liz Saunier. My firm is called Fourth Dimension Architecture, and I launched it a couple years ago, right in the middle of COVID. And I'm based in the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York. And our niche, our specialty, is helping second homeowners really enjoy the process of designing their vacation homes up here in the Catskills. And we aim to keep their project within what I call the Goldilocks zone, which is
Oh,
on time and within their budget.
I love it. I love a good label. Yeah. Okay. And how long have you been in business? How big's your business now? And
Mhm.
and did you start as a single one woman firm, or did you start with people, or
Yes, yeah. So I launched my firm on my own. I got my license in 2020 and started taking on a project here and a project there while I was working for another architect. And then I gained a team. So today I run a team of seven, including me.
oh
So
wow.
I have a couple of drafters. Yeah, so that enabled us to scale and take on more projects. And I have people I can delegate to, which is great. My team is wonderful. I definitely recommend working with a team. And yeah, at the very beginning, I joined AMI in June of 2023. So it's been a year and a half or so, coming up on 2 years. And I wanted to learn some sales skills as I was, really striking out and trying to build up this firm and have enough work to support a team. Mhm.
Great. Okay, so where were you when you started from a business point of view and maybe from a mindset point of view?
Mm.
This would be about 18 months ago. And then what outcomes have you been able to generate? And then we'll dig into how you've done it, which is the bit I'm
Yeah.
most interested in. Yeah, but let's get the results.
Yay. Yeah, so when I started, I was a sponge. I was trying to find as much information as I could because
Right.
I was launching a firm. So I had a very open mindset and I was willing to try everything.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time in the early days, I would sort of stumble upon a project. I would just start telling
Right.
people, "Hey, I'm an architect," and they would go, "Oh, my cousin needs an architect," or something like that. And you know, in that way, I would get a dozen or so leads in the first year. It really didn't go very
Right.
far.
But I
Um,
imagine they're a big mixed bag when they're coming to you, you get a mixed
yes.
bag of quality.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was mostly, a little addition here, a mini renovation there, like nothing glamorous, nothing exciting to work on necessarily.
Yeah.
And then AMI gave me a system with which to create a funnel to draw in those leads. So,
Right.
and to attract them to me in the first place, and then what to do when they called. So in the first year of AMI, I had 89 leads. And now in the second year, in 2024, the calendar year of 2024, I had 161 leads. So I've
Wow.
been able
Doubled.
to double my intake of potential projects, which has also doubled, perhaps tripled how exciting the projects are, because now I have more whole house designs and significant renovations and things like that. And most importantly, I have a process to take from that very first phone call and generate all the way through to a complete project. And my turnaround is about 18%. 18% of the leads that call me become projects. hmm
Wow.
hmm
Okay. So run through what is your process at a high level?
Yes,
What
absolutely.
happens?
So,
Phone rings,
mhm,
then what?
yeah. So actually, before the phone rings, a lot of times people download my project planning pack off the
Okay.
website. That is
Okay.
my number one piece of bait out there in the water. A lot of
Off
people
your
come to my
website.
website through that. Correct.
Right. Okay. And
Mhm.
actually, before we get into your sales process,
Mm.
where are you generating your leads from? So obviously that monkey's fist or that project planning pack on your website is number one. What else brings in the leads?
Yes, my Dirty 30 is a strong source. I
Right.
happen to be, Wyndham in the Catskills is a relatively small rural resort town, and there's just not a lot of architects around here. So I do have that boon that I'm not competing against a lot of other architects aside from ones that people bring up from New York City. So just telling the network in the local town and in the Catskills area that I'm an architect, I'm here now, I was able to build up the Dirty 30 relatively quickly that way. My 30 people most likely to refer me do bring me a
Right.
lot of leads.
Great. Okay. So those are your two primary lead sources, your website and your Dirty 30, which is your
Hmm.
referral, one of your referral systems. All
Hmm.
right. So someone gives you a call.
Hmm.
What ma-
Yes.
what magic tricks do you then do?
Well, the incoming call script was huge for me. I use it every single time. I've now done it enough times that I could do it without reading it, which is nice.
Uh,
And I've modified it a little for my way. I've tested it enough to tweak some of the language to fit more the way that I sell.
mhm.
So the incoming call script is huge to qualify the lead and give them some training in what it's going to be like to work with us. It's a good measure of client control. Um, and then from there, at the end of
Hang
the
on,
incoming, yep.
just curious.
Yeah.
Got two incoming call scripts now. One for
Ah.
taking them to a free meeting. One for taking them straight to an LCC. Which one are you using?
I take them straight to the LCC, so I consider their incoming call script as the free meeting. They get half an hour of my attention, and the next step is the LCC. Hmm.
Gotcha. I love that. Yeah. Sounds very much like James Sizer, who did the same thing. He just took the script, banged it
Hmm.
out, and similar sort of results as you. Okay, all
Hmm.
right. What happens next?
Yeah, so next up is the LCC, which I called the Goldilocks phase. And we use that to determine the right size project. So my target client's number one burning question is how much of my wish list will fit in my budget? Even if they don't realize it. People don't necessarily ask the question that way, but that's what they're after. And I tell them in the incoming call script, it's okay, don't worry, we have a system for answering that question. All you have to do is follow my step-by-step process. And most people are relieved that there is a process. They're delighted to follow step by step, to be guided by the hand, so to speak. Because I guess a lot of the other architects they called, they don't necessarily get that kind of response. So it really
Great.
works. It does.
Mm.
Mhm.
I think most architects, well, I don't know about their sales process, but they do have systems, but they don't draw them or they don't
Mhm.
document them so much. They don't even talk about them much. They just say, "Hey, next step is this, and let's do this." So the client feels like they're going into a bit of a cave, a black hole,
Mhm.
and hopefully this person I'm talking to knows where they're going because I don't. Whereas what you're doing is laying out a roadmap for the client,
Mhm.
and you're saying, "Hey, here's where we're going to be going," and make sure that's okay before we even start. Because if you don't like the journey I'm going to take you on, there's no point starting, is there?
Right. Yes.
And I love this term, but do you feel that gives you a certain amount of, does that establish client control to some degree?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can tell pretty early on in the incoming call script if the client is going to let me steer, and that's one of my qualification measures. It's nice to see that they're willing to follow the process, that they're willing to, play the little game of questions that I have for them. And they'll let you know if they're not willing to follow your process, in which case you end up following their process, and that usually does not lead to a sale that way. So
Mm,
it's better to have them follow you. Hmm.
exactly.
Yes.
The client follows your process for buying, or you follow their process for not buying.
Yes.
You don't let the inmates in charge of the asylum. Right. Okay. So give us a rundown on the LCC for people who I'm not sure
Oh
who
no. Yeah.
I'm not sure who will show this video to, but for those who don't know what an LCC is, if we end up showing it to those people, an LCC stands for low commitment consultation, and really it's pre-design research, but paid. They pay some money, and it's a chance for Liz or an architect or any designer to go and do some diagnosis before they prescribe, because prescription without diagnosis is malpractice, isn't it? Very
Yes.
unprofessional. Very
Hmm.
unprofessional.
Yes.
So
Leads
we
to
don't want to be.
chaos later. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. So it works better for everybody, including the client.
hmm
All right. So how many LCCs have you done in the last 18 months?
I have sold 68 LCCs to date.
68.
68 and counting. We're still going. I got some fish on the line. Yeah.
Right. So everyone's always interested in how much are you charging? And I suppose we won't go into what you're doing, but how much you charge? Well, where did you start? What did you start charging, and have you
hmm
upped it since then? And give us some insights into what you've learned about converting these into 68 LCCs.
Absolutely, yes. So my first LCC was $200, and I
Right.
just charged them to come and meet them at their house. That was it.
Right.
That was the whole LCC. And then I did everything else the old way, so to speak. I just presented a proposal after that. That client didn't hire me, actually, now that I think about it. So I've built it up since then. Today's LCC, the standard service is $1,000 and includes that site visit and the research and analysis to form an appropriate diagnosis. The bonus options that people can add, I've got a couple of them. The big one is a cost estimate because that's my client's number one burning question. And most people do add the cost estimate, which brings it to $2,000. And I'll find a reason to throw a discount if they were referred or something like that because people love a discount. And I make sure to tell them they're getting a discount for that. And then that would include a lot more data. It includes 2 meetings now. So first I'll come and meet them at their house and I build rapport in this meeting. That's perhaps the most valuable component, actually. It's more valuable even than the document I give them at the end.
Mm.
The second meeting, I deliver the evaluation in a Zoom. We meet up. I have a whole written document, and then I include my proposal for full services in that second meeting. So it's another sales call, an opportunity to walk them through the choices they have, and then they hire me for full services after that.
What percentage of your LCCs convert into a full project?
I'd say it's about 70%. It's a pretty high percentage of them.
Okay. So if you're charging about 1,000, you might have made about $68,000, give or take,
Correct.
over the past 18 months. And would you have been doing this stuff for free in the past, or?
Oh yeah. Yeah, before AMI, I would drive an hour to the next county to meet someone just on the hopes that they might
Right.
hire me for their tiny mudroom edition. Yes. I don't
Brilliant.
do that anymore.
So what have you done with the extra $70,000 that you've pulled in just for the LCCs?
Well, I've grown my team. I have an intern
Right.
now. I have an intern helping me with the LCCs, which is really nice. And I've been able to give them resources to build up the things that the firm can do.
And what's been your biggest learning doing the LCCs, either psychologically, either what you say or what you offer? What insights have you picked up doing so
Yes,
far?
the concept of rapport was really impactful for me,
Right.
and I'll just explain it briefly for anyone who hasn't gotten to that part of the training yet. It's a simple process. You notice the client's emotion, and usually it's concern or overwhelm, or they're nervous or they're unsure. You mirror their emotion. You show that you understand their concern or their worry. You worry back at them. And then you choose an emotion that you want them to feel. And mine is enthusiasm because that's just my
Right.
natural state of
Yeah, that's a
existence.
good
So
one. Yeah.
rapport comes naturally to me, actually. And once I watched that training video, it really clicked that before my enthusiasm, I need to first mirror and capture their concern. And then when you switch your emotion to enthusiasm, hint here, say yay more.
Right.
Then they'll follow you to enthusiasm. And that's the best tool that I have developed over the course of all those LCCs.
Oh, that's great. And
hmm
so they follow you. They follow you emotionally. So you go and
Yes.
match. So just to review that, what
hmm
Liz does is she step one, identifies where they are emotionally.
hmm
Step two, she'll go there herself. So she'll mirror their emotions. Step three, once she has rapport, she'll then move to an emotion maybe that is more empowering and useful for the process, like
Yes.
enthusiasm. And if
hmm
she has rapport with them and they want to stay in rapport, and who wouldn't want to stay in rapport with Liz, they will follow you. They will
Yes.
follow you into enthusiasm. And
hmm
now that they are enthusiastic and you're enthusiastic, they're now in a much more responsive emotional state
Mm-hmm.
for making decisions
Mm-hmm.
and doing anything really. I think enthusiasm is a fantastic emotion to take someone into. Yeah, particularly when
Yeah.
they're probably that's what they need. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed, they're anxious, they're nervous. They can't
Mm-hmm.
often they won't do much there. And for a lot of people struggling to convert sales, maybe as Liz is saying, your problem isn't the service you're offering. The problem is you're trying to get someone to make a decision while they're in a bad state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and a lot of my LCC works both to reveal their state of mind, the challenges that they're having, the cost being a really big one, of course. Everyone's anxious about the cost. Why wouldn't they be? And then to reassure them that it's going to be okay. We have a process, we have a system for answering that question and relieving that concern. And it's going to be fun. Turn it up to how exciting it's going to be. And they're much more likely to want to continue and hire you after that. Hmm.
It's so weird, isn't it? Like this is so important and so true. Their emotional state is almost everything, particularly when you're
Hmm.
asking them to make big decisions. And yet it's really often overlooked. People are thinking about what do I say or how do I present this or how do I price it is how most people are thinking. Oh,
Hmm.
have I priced it too much? It's usually not about the price.
No.
It's about the emotional state the person is in when they're making the decision.
Hmm.
Um, Amazing. And you do spend a lot of time in what would you say your natural state of mind is? Enthusiastic?
Enthusiastic, optimistic. Yeah, I'm a very
Yeah,
positive person in general.
you
I say
are.
yay all the time. Yes.
You are. You
Hmm.
are.
Yeah.
We get you on a call and you kind of lift. That's the thing. When someone's strong on their emotions, so we have, the weekly Q&A call, six
Mm-hmm.
members will know that. And then when Liz is on, she tends to, because she's got a stronger emotional whatever, she tends to lift the tone of the room. So whoever, what is it? Zig Ziglar
Hmm.
said, selling is a transference of emotion.
Yes, it is.
He said. So I'm guessing what he means by that is I need to transfer an emotion that's useful
Hmm.
to you so that you're more likely to buy.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, I guess, as
Hmm.
well. Exactly the same thing, a transference of emotion. It's almost like you're zapping them with an emotion that is going to make them more likely to make the big decisions and move ahead with something which is going to give them a lot of pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, people buy based on the emotion that they're feeling, and then they'll justify it with logic later. So as long as the report I deliver has enough logic in there for them to justify, they've decided based on their emotions that they're going to hire me in the course of the LCC, and then they just look through the report to find the logic. Hmm.
Yeah, right. That's a good
Yes.
point. And you may have
Hmm.
one person who's slightly more emotional. Peter
Hmm.
Tui often talks about one's the artist and the other person is the accountant.
Yes.
So the report is very important for the accountant in the
Hmm.
relationship and and the emotions is very important for both of them. But you're right.
Hmm.
Some people, I don't just need the emotion, I need the emotion and the logical justification behind it as well.
Yes. A lot
Yeah.
of time, if one of the two clients is quieter than the other one, there can be the husband or the wife, whichever is giving me all this stuff that I can use for rapport, but the other one is really quiet. I try to make sure I catch the other person's emotion. And
Right.
if you can win the quiet one over, the louder one is already in it. Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So when you started selling the LCC, given you hadn't sold, you'd been doing free work up until that point, basically going out, chatting, talking, giving away free advice, and then doing a
Hmm.
proposal, and then hoping they would hire you. Where were you at emotionally when you started doing this? Were you a little bit nervous? Were you saying, oh, everyone else will do it for free? They won't pay for it? Where were you at and what did you learn?
Yeah, I was definitely nervous. I mean, I was striking off to start my own firm instead of sticking around with, the architect that employed me previously. And I was definitely excited to steer. I love the idea of running my own business. So that's a big part of it, is wanting to get out there and try these new things and build a system that works for you. Um, yeah, I mean, I overthink things a lot. So I definitely spent way too much time on the project planning pack. It did not need to take that long. I didn't need to go that far. So a good lesson for me early on in those days was good is good enough. Once it's good enough, put it out there to the world, upload it to the website, send that email. You can always tweak it later, but just get it out there. Start doing it. Start trying it. Yeah.
It sounds like in your case, you're doing some good work with your referral network, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got your website, so people are finding you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will find they have to do a bit more promotion. They might be in a busier, more commercial, competitive area, so they have to go out and promote their project planning pack in a number of different places.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on where you are and what the competition is. What else should I be asking you, Liz? What else should you be asked? We're trying to
Hmm.
help people here, and either mentally or emotionally, or because it's a tough game, isn't it, being an architect? Like,
Yes.
it's a tough game, and there's lots of competition. They're pumping people out all the time. Um, you really do need, just on the sales and marketing side, like, how much did you get taught at design school about sales and marketing?
None. Nothing. None
Yeah,
whatsoever. And all the architects I worked for previously to this didn't necessarily have a process for sales and marketing. Or if they did, I didn't see it as their,
right.
drafter. So yeah, I mean it's probably scary at first to start out. I guess I would say trust the process, try it, go for it. You can always tweak it later. And I would recommend don't underestimate the mindset and messaging lessons of AMI. I found myself actually, I passed through the training twice. The first time through, I was like, oh, okay, mindset, like that doesn't create a deliverable. What's the deliverable? So I went through those really quickly and moved on to, okay, project planning pack. I can do this. I'm in Photoshop. But the second time through, I learned a lot about mindset and the messaging that you use, the way you slant the words, the emotion you put behind the words, and your mindset really does project into the message that you're giving the clients. So I'd say it's hugely important to look inward on your own mindset and try to figure out what you're projecting. Yeah.
I would say, because I've done work with architects for about the last 14 years, and then before that, I did 10 years of working with other clients, so accountants,
Mhm.
lawyers, private investigators, um, all sorts of other people selling professional services. And
Mhm.
that's the thing they almost, I say they all say it. Most of them say the biggest thing I got from the training was mindset,
Mhm. Yes.
and it's kind of weird. And I'm going, well, what specifically? But I think, well, you tell me, but my perception of the mindset stuff they get is a growing appreciation for the value that they bring,
Mhm.
and more confidence in their value. What would you say?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, a lot of average folks don't know what an architect does. They have no concept of what it takes, what they're buying necessarily. So, to have the confidence to tell them you have what they need, even though they don't necessarily know what they need, is a big step. And sales also comes before you get any sales training at all. Sales comes with a weird stigma that it's like, used car salesman style, and it doesn't have to be that. It really doesn't. And that's a big mindset of AMI, that sales is actually just figuring out what people want and giving it to them, offering it to them. And you could have different price tags associated, but the price is not what's important. It's the value that you're offering to them
Right,
that's more important. Hmm.
right. Awesome. It's been great to speak to you, Liz. Thank you very much
Yay.
for sharing, because I know a lot of people will listen to this, and different people will take different things out of it. But
Hmm.
you've been very generous in sharing some of your insights, and I hope people listening to this do get inspired by you, and we all have been. So thank you very much.
Yay! Me too. Thank you for having me. Best of luck to everyone. You got this.
All right.